What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast Podcast. Today, it's me and Griffin. We're running this. We're doing a Suns episode, infamous Suns info. We're talking about them. They just beat the Clippers last night as we're filming this on the amazing DeAndre Ayton alley-oop game winner. So we got a lot to talk about. This team wasn't even in the playoffs last year. Went off in the bubble. We'll talk about that in a second. And now they're 2 games from beating the Clippers and going to the NBA Finals for the first time in forever, I believe. I don't know if it's been maybe Tom Chambers days. I don't even know if they made it back then. Who knows? Griffin, have they made the finals before?
They have, I think so. Yeah, they lost in
Oh no, Barkley. My bad.
1993. Yeah, Barkley.
Barkley. Yeah. So we're just gonna touch on it. We're gonna touch going back to where the Suns team kind of began. The 8-0 bubble run. I think everyone knows it from them. We saw some amazing play from people like DeAndre Ayton, especially Devin Booker. We didn't see stars like Kelly Oubre playing for them. And we didn't even have Chris Paul on the team yet, but it was a fantastic run. Devin Booker hit some clutch shots. And even though this team statistically really had 0 shot to make the playoffs back in that bubble, they still went 8-0, and they were just so close. One team losing would have sent them to the playoffs. But Griffin, we're going to talk about it. What do you think? How polarizing was this 8-0 bubble run, and how do you think it's affected them today?
Well, I think it was just a building block to get where we are today. I just want to say that I think this run didn't start at the bubble. It started last season at the beginning of the season. The hiring of Monty Williams, James Jones being hired as the manager of basketball operations, like that's a game changer for the franchise. We had a terrible GM, terrible coaches for the last 10 years practically since Steve Nash left. And that was a big culture change that both Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton desperately needed because they were getting drowned out by the terrible coaching and decisions that was going on around them. But the bubble was really putting the league on notice, I guess, for this upcoming season that the Suns weren't going to be the Suns that we've had in the Valley for the past couple of years. And it was great. Like, if the Nets hit a shot, we would have been in contention. We would have been in the playing game for the playoffs. So like
Harris LeVert, man,
yeah,
missed that shot.
if my man hit a shot, like we would have had a shot. That's what I'm saying. Like we signed Campaign in the bubble, who is like before that, he was just known for being like Russell Westbrook's hype man, but now he's like CP15, the next coming of Jesus Christ.
Oh,
He has the Michael Jordan layup package, dude. He might have got blocked by Zubats maybe one time, and that's like the only time I've ever seen him get blocked. So like, I don't know, just like people in the national media, I'm just gonna ramble a little bit, but people in the national media love to like say that this team is like CP3's like team, which it kind of is. He did add a lot. He added a lot of like veteran leadership that this team desperately needed. But to say this team is all CP3 is kind of, I don't know, disingenuous, or I don't know. But like this team is a full-fledged team that just needed the opportunity to shine. And no pun intended, because we're a Sun, but
Exactly. I mean, like you're saying, Devin Booker and those boys, they're up 2-0 in the Clippers right now. I mean, sure, the Clippers don't have Kawhi, but they're still a pretty good team. They're able to beat the Utah Jazz in those 2 games without him. So it's not like they're any slouches. We've seen some amazing play from players like Reggie Jackson in the playoffs. Obviously, Terrence Mann hasn't been that game 6 self of himself, but Paul George has been taking to another level, and they're still up in this series. But just absolutely great. So we've been talking. Well, go ahead.
I mean, just to talk about this series a little bit, like if the Clippers can't get Kawhi back, it's like it's over. Like I know Tyronn Lue, like he could do some black magic and maybe get us back in this, but like I don't see it really happening because the Suns are just way more athletic and like better defenders than the previous 2 teams that they've played, who they've come back 2-0 against. So I just don't really see a lot of faith in that. And CP3, he's also missing. Like he is an all-star point guard and he is missing, and he's going to come back next game. Like, I don't really see how they can match that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, ridiculous. I mean, I think at this point, because they were going to make the finals, CP3 is a top 5 point guard of all time. I have
Oh
no
yeah,
debate about that.
yeah,
It's him, Curry, Magic Johnson, John Stockton, and then you throw Oscar Robertson in there. I
yeah.
think he's better than Isaiah Thomas. I think just the way he's such a polarizing player. I mean, if he can capture a championship against, a relatively not super strong Bucks or Hawks team, I mean, shout out the Hawks. They just won tonight.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Hawks stand a chance against the Suns.
Yeah,
Nor do the
no. I before the season started, I kind of saw the Hawks as the Suns in the bubble, where they are a star away from actually being a very legitimate contender. Like, they are in the Eastern Conference Finals, but again, the East is not very good. The Sixers absolutely, like, if they played up to their potential, they would have won that game in that series. So, I mean, I think they're a good team. They're a good team, and so are the Bucks. But like, I feel like this Clippers Sun series has so much weight behind it. Like, I mean, whoever comes out of the West, I think will win.
Oh, yeah. I think that's what people see right now. But I mean, on paper, who knows?
Yeah,
But exactly. So we're gonna
Chris
move
Paul
on.
could
Yeah,
get like Chris Paul could go down again. He's
exactly.
very prone.
But hey,
So who knows?
speaking of Chris Paul, I think we got to talk back to an absolute fleece of a trade, which was Chris Paul. He had that kind of rebound season in OKC, was on the Rockets the previous season. And then, they made a trade for him. They traded Russell Westbrook in exchange, got a bunch of draft capital, and Chris Paul's become the better player at this point. Um, but the trade details pretty much looks as the Suns had traded Kelly Oubre and Ricky Rubio. Kelly Oubre, who had a fantastic season, did not be on that bubble squad because he was injured, but still, I think, averaging about 18 points a game that season. With Ricky Rubio, a solid veteran point guard, Ty Jerome and Jalen LeCue, some young guards, still with potential, but not anything that's going to wow you. And then a 2022 first round pick for Paul and Abdel Nader, who doesn't really play on the Sun. I'm pretty sure he's been waived at this point.
No,
But
he's injured right now.
oh, he's injured, but not a contributor at all. So I think you got to look back on this. I think there's absolute fleece of a trade. I mean, Kelly Oubre doesn't play for them anymore. Obviously, they got draft capital out of it, but the Thunder really don't have anyone right now that they've gotten from that trade that's benefiting them, and the Suns have themselves in a chance to make the NBA Finals 2 games away. So, Griffin, let's talk about this trade. What was your initial reaction when you heard this trade had gone down last summer?
Surprisingly, in like my son's friend group at school, I was one of maybe 2 or 3 who thought this was a good deal. We were on the Kelly Oubre high in Phoenix. I don't know if it's just because he's hot, and like, I'm just gonna say it. He's a good looking man, but like, he is not what Chris Paul provides to the team. I was saying that. I'm like, Kelly Oubre, he added so much to the Suns, like, organization, like
Culture.
culture. He was a culture guy. The Valley was hype. We actually cared about the Suns for the first time in like 5 years because of Kelly Oubre. Like, I remember even the games back then last year, like, the games were fun. Like, we were not the basement dweller NBA organization that we were for the past, I don't know, fucking 5 years. Oh, sorry. Can I curse on here?
Go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, my fault. But yeah, like, shout out to Kelly, but like, Chris Paul, what he at, like, you were saying, he's a top 5 point guard of all time. He is one of the greats. And like, really, what is our pick? Like, everybody was worried about the pick. Like, what is our pick worth? We might get the 30th pick in the draft. Like, oh my, like, I feel so bad. And like, Jalen LeCue, I liked his dunk highlights, but that was basically it. Ty Jerome was terrible. He was one of James Jones's misses. Like, he hasn't really had all that many, but he was a draft miss. And Ricky Rubio, again, kind of like Kelly Oubre, he got us on the right path, but like, we needed to go beyond that. Like, shout out Ricky Rubio, shout out Kelly Oubre, but like, this trade was an absolute steal. And I do it again in a heartbeat. Liam, I do it again in a heartbeat.
Exactly. I mean, guy who's proved these last 2 seasons, he's obviously the most valuable player in the NBA besides some players like, LeBron James. I think Chris
I would
Paul.
I would honestly say he's like up there with LeBron. Every team he goes
Oh,
to
I
is
mean,
like that. And what the Suns really needed at that point, I was a they needed another guard next to Booker, but what they really needed was veteran leadership in the locker room for
mhm.
Ayton and for Booker, and they got that. And I think that's put Ayton, Booker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges on the path to being better players than they would have been without Chris Paul.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Chris Paul, a thing that's pointed out in his all-time status is he's 10th all-time in win shares, behind legends Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, John Stockton, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, LeBron, Wilt Chamberlain. Will ignore him. I think he's a little bit of an overrated player in terms of his era, during the pace, and then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So absolutely crazy. I mean, he's definitely going to pass Kevin Garnett. He's only about 2 win shares away, so he plays another season. So amazing to see from him. But
Mhm.
we'll move
Absolutely.
on. And I think one of the most vital parts to this team is the depth on this roster. Some guys I think that were added this offseason that made a huge difference. And I know, Griffin, you and your dad were really happy about this move. Jay Crowder
Mhm.
from the Miami Heat, obviously a huge part of that Miami Heat finals run in the bubble. He was added to your roster. Also, we saw the emergence of Cam Johnson this year, as well as seeing some production from players like Cameron Payne, obviously led the game scoring in game 2, and Torrey Craig. So I think those guys are some of the most big, important role players on this team. I'd say every other guy like Mikal, Ayton, Paul, and Booker, they have star power. So
Mhm.
I'd say out of those, what's your opinion on let's start with Jay Crowder to begin with. How do you think, what's his impact to you on this team?
First off, it's like Chris Paul, veteran leadership. He's been there in I think he's been in the past 5 playoffs. I could be totally wrong there, but he has been in the playoffs in and out. He was in the finals the year before. But we also need like a Patrick Beverly, Draymond Green type of tough guy. We need that intensity on the defensive end and on the offensive end that will honestly chirp the other team. I think that's a vital part to a winning like NBA championship caliber team. You need that guy who will do the dirty work. And Jay Crowder does that. He is like a vital part of our team. And I think it was like a James Jones again. There's a reason he won executive of the year. He's so good at picking up these players. And I don't know what more I could say. The boss man is here to stay.
Exactly. I mean, and then,
What other player? Torrey Craig. I mean, we fleeced Milwaukee for him. Like we gave him cash considerations for this dude who has been a vital part coming off the bench. He is vastly outplayed what we traded for him. Like he has been so good. He was super great in the Denver series, especially kind of coming home because I believe he was on Denver before
yes,
going to
he
Milwaukee.
started his career in Denver.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a homecoming for him. He balled out. He's balled out during the playoffs. Honestly didn't expect a whole lot when that move was made. I think that was at the trade deadline.
It was.
Yeah, like that move. I wasn't expecting. I was expecting Abdul Nader 2.0, but he has turned into an absolute great contributor on this basketball team. I think you said campaign too. Like I said this before. He was known as Westbrook's hype man in Oklahoma City, and then he went to I think he went to the Bulls, and then the Cavs maybe.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'd say that's correct.
he and then he went to China. Like he was gonna be out of the NBA if the Suns didn't. I don't know if we could partially like give credit to the Suns for this, but like his emergence ever since the bubble, like he's been out of this world. Like even I've seen people on Suns Twitter and on like Suns Reddit like saying that he could be like the guard in waiting behind Chris Paul. And honestly, after these playoff performances, I'm like, I wouldn't be like too mad about that. He's been playing absolutely fantastic for what we like. We didn't trade for him. We didn't give up anything. We just signed him on a 10-day for the hopes he would be great or even good in the
In the
bubble.
bubble, yeah.
And he's balled out. Absolutely. Like we needed a backup point guard in the bubble because I think we were dealing with some injuries and he balled out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
I think, did you say Cam Johnson too?
yeah, Cam Johnson.
Yeah, that pick when we picked him,
Wow.
I
Wow.
I was like, what are we doing? I mean, and I'll first to admit it, folks, I was dead wrong. Like this kid is so good. He was a veteran college basketball player who who's a great shooter from Pitt and UNC. He's a killer from three, and now he's kind of developed this year in off the ball in his ability to like drive with the ball, because in his rookie season he was more of a spot up shooter, but now he's developed into like a big role player for us, and I like love to see it. Like I don't know, I think our development team here in Phoenix is just so good. I hope Jalen Smith is watching what these guys are doing.
Exactly. I think a guy that looks like the only miss right now on that team is
I
probably
mean,
Smith.
I'm willing to give him another year because
Oh, of course, you have to.
yeah, his frame is nice. Like he's lanky, like he can build into that body.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. Hope the best for him. He seems like a nice kid.
Yeah, but just to add on, I mean, Aussie Jay Crowder, known for his heroics last game, throwing that alley-oop right over DeMarcus Cousins' head. Perfect positioning, by the way. And then for campaign, 20 points and 9 assists he's averaging in these last 2 games versus the Clippers, an extremely vital piece. And Cam Johnson's been shooting above 40% in these playoffs, about averaging 11 points and a steal and a half during these last 2 games as well. Obviously, small sample size, but these guys are stepping up to the task when you have a guy like Chris Paul, who, when he wants, like he did in that Nuggets series, which we'll get into in a second, was able to dominate, taking the mid-range jumpers, having the most points, I believe, by a guy his age in the playoffs in X amount of years, the ESPN statistics. So then we'll hop into the main part of the season. The Suns had a pretty good shot at getting this first seed, going back and forth with a Utah team, which I think in the end, this Utah team was just firing on all cylinders all year. They have a guy in Donovan Mitchell who I think you can compare pretty much to Devin Booker in the way that they're both, top rising star shooting guards. They're going to be battling for 1 and 2 in the next couple years. Obviously, guys I love very much so. I've been a diehard Mitchell fan since his rookie season, and been rooting for Devin Booker in these playoffs. He's been showing out, obviously, that 40-point playoff triple-double that he just had, his first career triple-double that he had against the Clippers in the game 1. But we'll talk about the season, Griffin. What were some highs? What were some lows? What were you worried about this season, and how's it transpired in the playoff?
My main concern coming to the season, which has been my concern for the past 3 years now, was DeAndre Ayton. He has been so inconsistent during the regular season that I thought we would either, I don't know. I thought our ceiling in the playoffs coming into the season was the 5th or the 4th seed, kind of where Oklahoma City was. But and during the season, even DeAndre Ayton did not play good. There were stretches of the season where he did not play in the 4th quarter because he was a liability. He was a liability out there. He couldn't make the right decision. But just kind of jumping forward to the playoffs a little bit, he has stepped up in an amazing way. But kind of coming back to the regular season, I expected a big year from Booker, and I don't know. I feel like it was almost, I don't know. I don't know if he had the best year in terms of what he could have been, kind of compared to the upgrade from Ricky Rubio to Chris Paul, the ability to have another star on the court with him. He definitely had no, I don't even know if he had a better year.
Not statistically. He was a worse
that's what I'm saying. His 3-point percentage went down, and this is a guy who won the NBA 3-point contest. He needs to get better. This was my concern going into the playoffs, that he wouldn't be consistent, and he kind of hasn't been. But he's built for the NBA playoffs type of game. But when in the past, when Booker has had to play point guard, he has made he just makes bad decisions in terms of passing. He gets a lot of turnovers, and I think we kind of saw that last game in with the Clippers game. But overall for the regular season, I expected playoffs after the bubble, and we got I exceeded my expectations so far. But coming into the playoffs, kind of before we played the Lakers series, I was we're probably going to lose. Even though LeBron was kind of hurt and AD was definitely hurt, I was
LeBron.
Yeah, I'm it's LeBron. We're going to lose. And then I was like, our playoff success is going to be dictated by DeAndre Ayton. And if he plays good, we live and die by him, basically. Booker's going to, I know for a fact Booker's going to be good, and Chris Paul is going to be good. Chris Paul goes down in the first game of the Lakers series. I'm like, oh no, it's over, basically. But Ayton and Booker absolutely stepped up, and they've continued to step up throughout the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, again, exceeded my expectations, I guess, is a
Yeah.
concise sentence.
And then just looking at, you're talking about the 3-point percentage, Booker's shot less attempts and has become worse at shooting at 3 points every year since 2017-18, except for the fact that he had an extreme dip from 38% to 32% from 18 to 19. But still, I mean, he's become more of a slasher guy. I feel like him and Donovan Mitchell have switched roles, as in who's, the guy that shoots more, because I feel like Mitchell's a more willing to shoot now instead of Devin Booker. But I think both players switch for the betterment of their games.
Yeah, Booker has definitely tried to add to his game in the sense that he's tried to get his teammates more involved, which I appreciate, but his decision making has not been there. And the 3-point shooting was a big concern of me going into the playoffs. I'm like, he was a 3-point, like, I know he's a good shooter, but this sort of like statistical numbers was like alarming to me. I'm like, before I looked at it, I'm like, he has to be like 39, 40%, but like, it was shocking to be in the 30s. Like, I don't know, but like, I just think consistency in the regular season is kind of something he needs to work on. But if we're getting this sort of playoff success, I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then I think you got to look at coming. I was looking at just a second ago. At the halfway point, you can say the All-Star game. The Suns weren't, I would say amazing. They just come off a win versus the Warriors. They're 24-11, but that next half of the season, they only lost 10 games and they went up to 51 wins. I think, just hitting that second gear, the All-Star, break really jumped them. Booker got that All-Star appearance, barely anyway, like he did the year before. Chris Paul was still there, but, like you said, the further development of DeAndre Ayton, I think he's still got, I think he can, shoot about a 3.5.
Bless you.
3.5 a game. I think he can be super valuable for this team for spacing, because I think that's only going to make Booker a better 3-point shooter if he has more spacing around him. But I think DeAndre Ayton does his best inside and then, in that 15-foot range. So I think he needs to stay there. But
in the regular season, that was definitely a concern. But in the playoffs, like I'm gonna throw out a hot take, Liam. I'm gonna say it. He is the third best center in the NBA right now.
Playing wise, better
behind
than
Jokic and Embiid. He has stepped up. Like the only thing he could really he needs to add a more consistent outside shot and mid range shot. But besides that, I'm like, he is on his way to stardom right now. If he can continue this consistency in the regular season, he's going to be an all NBA player.
And I don't think it's something we should be surprised about. I think, a comparison I just seen today on the internet, I don't know if you saw this either. They're comparing DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, and Luka Doncic, the Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie, and Michael Jordan, which I think, a little bit light version on each of them.
That was exactly, I brought up the 1984 draft class for a reason, because I want, bro, nobody is mad about the Rockets picking Hakeem. I feel like that's kind of what the Suns is going to be like. The Suns thought process is going to be. No one's going to be mad at them picking DeAndre Ayton because he's going to turn out to be such a good player. But Luka is on another level and Trae Young is on another level. But I don't really see. As of right now, I don't regret that pick at all. Before this season, I kind of did. I'm like, I kind of wish we picked Luka or Trae, but I don't know how that spacing would have worked with Booker. But now I'm floored at how good he is. I'm honestly shocked how he stepped up, because honestly, his effort, I didn't see a lot of effort from DeAndre. I thought he was barely trying out there, but now when I see what he can actually do, I'm like, oh my Lord, he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaged 16.3, 10.8 rebounds, and how many blocks was that? Oh, he's not really good on the defensive end, I'd say. He's still polishing that side, which is,
I think he's good on his interior defense is not great, but overall, he's honestly a pretty good defender for a
He's
big.
better than he's above average. He's not.
Oh
And it's,
yeah, and especially when like a wing or a guard is like he is out there and he has to pick it up. He's not. He's pretty good. He stays low to the ground. Like he doesn't jump at a lot of stuff. He's pretty good. So
yeah.
I I don't know.
I mean, that's why like the Hakeem Olajuwon thing was like, okay, like I understand it, like
Yeah.
a different player than Hakeem because
Yeah,
Hakeem,
I think
I mean,
that comparison is more like what I was saying, where it's not like these are the like they're
the
not like
type of
yeah,
the
exactly.
idea of it, yeah,
Mhm.
like he's gonna go down. It's like, I mean, he's not gonna
He's
go
gonna
down.
go down as a
The third
great
best player in that draft. I don't think he's better than Trey Young. I love
yeah,
Trey Young right now. So I mean, but
yeah. I have to see. I have to see.
and then yeah, we do have to see though. I mean, a guy like Olajuwon literally came out of the draft, a legend in college, by the way, an
Mhm.
obviously an all-time legend. I think you can make a case for him that he's the second best center of all time.
Yeah.
20 points, 12 rebounds, 2.5 blocks in his rookie season. I mean, honestly, this guy was amazing. And then, of course, do I need to say anything about the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan? But we'll move on. And I think, honestly, what we got to talk about, what's going on right now. Obviously, we had alluded to it earlier. The DeAndre Ayton game winner in a game where the Clippers should have honestly won, Griffin. I think you can agree on that. Paul George choked those last 2 free throws. A guy who shoots 89% from the free throw line missed 2 free throws at the end of the game. You know, we wanted to take that title of pandemic P back. You know, they gave it to Kristaps
Absolutely.
Porzingis because he's going to Shanghai to play with the Sharks. So Pingus Zingas no longer has that title. It looks like it might be Paul George.
Ni hao. Like
I know, but
not
we
good.
want to let's talk about that game, Griffin. Honestly, it was it just happened. We know what happened in game one. Devin Booker dominated in a game where he put up 41 points and a triple double effort. But let's talk about this game two of the series. Obviously, just recently happened. What were your thoughts?
Um, going in, I was nervous about the Clippers had a decision to make. It was either stop DeAndre Ayton or stop Devin Booker, and they made the choice of stopping Devin Booker, which honestly worked out for them. Patrick Beverley, I hate saying this, I hate him as a player,
Oh, I hate
but
him.
he played very well. He
Yes, but I
played good
hate
on the
him.
defensive end. Booker did not have a good game. Paul George also didn't have a good game, so it kind of, I mean, he kind of did. From three, he didn't have a good game, but that kind of offsetted that. But like, I was worried going in. I thought once again, I was calling DeAndre Ayton's name. Where are you? I need you to step up. I also said this mentally. I need a campaign game, and I got one. Okay, nine assists, 0 turnovers, 29 points or 27, 29 or 27.
29. I got it right here.
He balled out. Okay, and like, I'm not normally the one who talk about the refs in the NBA game, but this was horrendous, Liam. Did you? It was horrendous.
Oh no.
The
Okay.
calls in this game, and how long
the
it took.
poking the ball out, that was BS.
That was terrible.
Mhm.
And how long it took. It took Liam. The
I
power
know.
went out
I
at my
watched.
house. The
I
power went out at my house. It was the start of the third quarter. We were expected a 2-hour power outage, rolling blackouts in the hood, Liam. And like, it's turned on again. Like, it took so long. The refs, Chris Paul, I don't know if you heard this, but the main ref, I don't remember his name, but Chris Paul has lost 11 games in a row to this ref. And the players around the league do not like this ref. And he was calling some out of pocket calls. And basically what I tweeted out on Twitter was like, the Clippers were handed this game and they still choked. Like Paul George,
Scott Foster?
Yes, Scott Foster, him.
Oh, super.
Chris Paul does not like Scott Foster. And once I heard that stat, I'm like, oh no. It was not good. But like, I think campaign and DeAndre Ayton absolutely stepped up. Everybody else, we honestly didn't play very well, and we still squeaked out a win. Our 3-point shooting was really bad. Cam Johnson, though, one bright spot. He played very well. He was 5 for 5 from the field. But overall, I was nervous coming into the game. I thought we would lose once Paul George went to the free throw line. And then I still thought we would lose because they were still up and we had a couple seconds left. And then once that ball went out of bounds, or was that, I don't know.
No, the ball went out of bounds.
Then Paul
The Clippers
George-
got the ball. They fouled the Clippers. Paul George went to the line, missed the shots, and then I believe Devin Booker went down, hit the jumper. Paul George went down, hit the jumper, and then there was barely any time left, and that's when Ayton went for the dunk. Paul George goes for the game-winning shot at the end. Not enough time on the clock.
I think you're right. I don't know. I honestly didn't know what to expect going in. I thought Booker would play better than he did. I thought the Clippers would step up.
7 turnovers, by the way.
Yeah.
And 5 fouls.
I was saying it is a problem. His turnovers are a problem. For somebody who Stephen A. Smith is crowned the next Kobe Bryant, his turnovers are a problem. Okay? It's blasphemy.
I mean, Kobe Bryant, I believe, is all-time number 1 in turnovers, if I'm correct.
Okay, he's living up to the name then. But like, if you come on, like,
yeah,
I love Booker. I will cheer Devin Booker's name in the streets. I don't know if he's Kobe Bryant, Stephen A.
No,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I think, and then also, I mean, a bad three-pointing shooting game by both sides. You can say the Clippers did a little bit better, shooting 38%. The Suns did shoot 23, which is something they got to step up on. I think
terrible.
a big part.
No, honestly, it was like an outlier game. Like, we've honestly shot super well from 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's the effect of Chris Paul not being there, kind of like drawing defenders toward him so he could find the open man.
Yeah, I mean, I think 4 3-point shots for Dario Saric is a little much.
Oh my Lord. Dario. Oh my Lord. At least he's better than freaking Frank Kaminsky. I don't know why we played him in the Lakers series and we didn't play Saric at all. We can kind of work backwards a little bit. I want to talk about the Lakers and the Nuggets series, but like, I don't know. After this game, Ty Lue, again, he can do some dark magic and he can pull out 3 times in a row coming back from 0-2.
A Terrence Mann 39-point game. Yeah.
They need to like rub on Kawhi a little bit and help him out, you know? But like, if they don't get Kawhi back, it's over. I'm calling right now, it's over.
Yeah. I think regardless, with Chris Paul coming back, it's over. But I mean, that's good because Chris Paul's going to make this team a better 3-point shooting team.
Oh,
obviously,
absolutely.
He draws attention. That mid-range jump shot is so deadly. People got to collapse in on him.
It's lethal.
It is. But I think Jay Crowder played a really bad game. I mean, 2 points.
He played terrible.
I mean, and you could say, it's beyond the box score. He had, I mean, a -2 on his plus-minus in the game.
The only thing he did well that game was throwing
the pass. Yeah, which was amazing, by the way.
It was an amazing pass. DeMarcus Cousins maybe should have angled himself a little better, but like,
I mean, that man got no legs, bro. That boy DeMarcus Cousins got no ligaments down there anymore.
And then he started pushing Booker. I'm like, bro. And then, bro, they gave him a technical foul like this afternoon. I'm like, who's gonna shoot the free throw?
But I think we can look now. If you want to go back, we can backtrack to those last 2 series. You want to touch on those real quick?
Yeah, let's start with the Lakers. Like I said, coming in, I was nervous.
Oh, everyone was nervous. They weren't even favored to win the series.
I know. You look at ESPN, you look at all the national media. I'm like, this isn't good. The first game, shocking. Devin Booker, I'll say this about Devin Booker, kind of the middle games in a series, he hasn't been super great. But in the first game of a series and a closeout game, he has been phenomenal. He has been a GOAT. He has lived up to the Kobe Bryant moniker that Stephen A. Smith has crowned him with. Okay? But I was nervous.
And AD balled them out that game.
Yeah, he did. He balled out. Chris Paul goes down. It's over. Psych. No, it's not. He was playing with one arm the first game.
I mean, it
still won.
Looked like it because the Lakers took the next 2 games.
Oh yeah. It looked over. Once we were down 1-2, I'm like, it's over. They're gonna reverse.
AD goes for a near triple-double, 35.
It's gonna be 4-1, and the Lakers are gonna move on. And we're going to get clowned out on Twitter. That was my fear. But now we're getting clowned out for playing injured teams, which whatever. I can't control that. But I was nervous.
Warriors did it back when they win the first championship, so it's whatever.
Yeah, I don't really care about the Twitter talk. Like, I can't control that. We're just winning, okay? But I was nervous. We're playing LeBron. Who in my book is the GOAT, okay? And he didn't play good. He did not play good. I don't know if he's injured or he's focusing on the Space Jam 2 movie release. I'm very excited about that. Zendaya's Lola Bunny. Excited. What can I say? But like, I don't even know what else to say. Anthony Davis is made of glass.
He is.
If I'm a Laker, if I'm in the Lakers front office, I'm contemplating trading him. I can't depend on him.
100%. I'd take Karl Anthony Towns for him. Straight up swap.
Yeah, I mean, Cat's gonna be there when it counts.
Mm-hmm.
He might not be a better player, but like, I don't know. And then moving on to the Nugget series after I saw what we did in the Lakers series, I thought we would win in like 6 or 7.
But what we winning?
I thought Jokic was the MVP for a reason, and he could squeak out like a game or two with no Jamal Murray, and I think Will Barton was hurt for the first couple of games.
Yes.
So I'm like, he will lead them a game or two, but we will win the series. And then I was dead wrong about that, but not in a way that I'm complaining about. We balled out once again. Chris Paul, if anybody watching this series, like watch the whole game, watch all the 4 games through, and didn't think Chris Paul was a top 5 point guard of all time, like I think this series kind of cemented it, at least in my mind. You know, he hasn't had the playoff success that you'd want, but like really,
he played for the Clippers, so
he played very, very well. And Devin Booker, again, closeout game was good. Rest of it, I don't know.
Exactly. If Devin Booker's having a good game, game 4, if they win game 3, it's over.
Yeah. Also, DeAndre Ayton, he matched Jokic. Like he played very well on the defensive end and matched him, I think, in like point categories most of the time, except for like a game or two.
No. I just checked game 3 and 4. He got dominated by him.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like not.
He held him in check. He held him in check.
He didn't go off as much as I thought he would. Jokic said this himself. DeAndre Ayton probably guards him the best in the entire league, and I think that was confirmed in this game. And I like DA once again. I'm like MVP of the playoffs so far, if not for Chris Paul, maybe. But like he has played so well. I thought the Suns would go as far as DeAndre Ayton would carry them, and we have.
But I think we got to talk it off. We're going to end it off. We got to give our predictions. We're going to talk about what we think this game 3, what we think some big points for the Suns. What do they have to do in order to secure a win here in this next game? We also know it's Chris Paul's game back. It's going to be a huge emotional game, a playoff game in Staples Center. He hasn't played. A playoff game in Staples Center where the Clippers are the home team, not the Lakers here this time. What are we thinking for this game?
The Suns won't have the amazing crowd in Phoenix that they've had behind them for the past couple of games. So I think
a rowdy crowd.
We're knocking people out.
Was there for game 6.
Suns fans are knocking them out. Swear to God, Suns are far. But I think the Clippers will get a game in LA, but I think we will steal one and win in 5. That is my prediction. I think Chris Paul will have an all right game. I think Booker will bounce back, and I think Ayton will continue to play not as well as he did this game, but I think he will continue to play well. I think we will shoot better from 3. I'm saying we, like you're a Suns fan, but like
I'm rooting for them now. The worst in it, so
they're the team of destiny. I think like Paul George, I think will have a bounce back game, but I think the supporting cast around him, like Patrick Beverley, will not have as good of a game.
Reggie Jackson has to be the X factor.
Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris have to play very good for them to win. And if one of them doesn't play good, then it's over. Like we haven't mentioned this, but Marcus Morris has played terrible in this series.
Because he's tiny.
Yeah, he's tiny. He can't match Ayton or Saric. Like, dude, come on. You can beat Saric. Come on. But like, I don't know if one of them doesn't play good, they're in jeopardy of losing the game. Like that, I'm just going to be honest. Like they have to be clicking. They should give Luke Kennard more minutes. By the way, that dude played very well.
Mm-hmm. They paid him way too much, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. The Ty Lue, bro, come on, magic. Work.
I'm predicting. I think it's going to be a close game. I said this again when we were talking about game predictions on my last episode with my boy Chase, but I think it's going to be a close game. But I think I'm gonna let the Clippers sneak out with a quick little like 3-point win. I think Chris Paul, he's gonna play like 15 and 11 kind of game. I think it's gonna be all weighing on the backs of DeAndre Ayton this game. I think he's gonna be the one that stars for them. He just can dominate them so easily. I was looking up the weight. The heaviest guy that they really play, I mean, outside of Zubac, is Nicholas Batum. That man was a
Yeah,
small forward in Portland. He played small ball center for them, which
yeah,
is
I know
crazy.
that. Like the small ball is not working though, but like nobody can defend him really. Zubats is not going to defend him. DeMarcus Cousins can't play more than 5 minutes until he's gassed. I see the Clippers winning one in LA, and that's
Yeah.
it. I think the series is over after that.
Yeah, I think the Suns gonna win 2 straight. They'll lose this next one. They take the next 2.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that
But
happening.
I think the Suns take this series easily. Kawhi's out. He tore his ACL.
Yeah,
There's no lie.
If Kawhi comes back, it's going to be a medical miracle, or they lied.
He'll
like,
be AD. He'll just like collapse and just can't
he'll
play.
collapse in a minute after playing. Lakers staff, by the way, Lakers medical staff. What are you doing?
Exactly.
you
Potentially
doing?
ruining a Hall of Fame guy
Yeah.
career. So.
What are you doing? But I don't want to keep you for too long. But like any predictions for the East?
I I want the Hawks so bad. I'm rooting for Trae Young. It's kind of a similar vibe. I feel like they're way more of an underdog team than the Suns, of course, but like,
Absolutely.
how can you not like Trae Young at this point? This man winning the Madison Square Garden. We're gonna go off
The
a little
villain
rant.
of New York.
We're gonna go on a rant real quick. I will at least winning there. Absolutely own them. In the most illustrious sports center, arguably in the world, in Madison Square Garden. He became the villain out there. This team was so hyped. They became the 4th seed. They haven't made the playoffs in years since the Carmelo Anthony days. Julius Randle's the king of New York in their opinion. It's Pop
That dude's
Smoke.
a bozo.
But of course, Trae Young goes in there. He bows in the front court. He is owning that team. And then, he goes into a game series versus the Sixers they have no business competing in. And he makes Ben Simmons look like a goddamn fool. Ben Simmons cannot even guard him. Not even Matisse Thybulle can guard him. And those 2 guys made all NBA defense. So, fantastic play out of this Hawks team. It just makes no sense. They really shouldn't be competing that well. I mean, Clint Capella has been an absolute fantastic player for them this year on the defensive end. I think he is the 4th best center right now in the NBA. Obviously, like we had that DeAndre Ayton stuff, but Clint Capella, I almost put him on my All-NBA team prediction since I thought he'd played so well this year. Rudy Gobert is getting a lot of hate right now, rightfully so, for the way he got exposed, but still. But this team just took the game 1 versus the Bucks tonight. Chris Middleton played like literal dog shit. Shot like 0 for 7 from 3, like 6 from 23 from the field. But going against Drew Holiday, who I think is an even more impressive defender than Ben Simmons, in my opinion, when it comes to the one-on-one defense, this man Trae Young put up 49 points, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. It's going to take a lot out of this man. He's putting everything on his back, but the sad thing is that they run into the Suns in the finals, they're not beating them.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love to see a miracle season like that, where a guy who has no business even being in the playoffs like they were winning a championship.
I don't want to sound like a Phoenix homer, which I definitely am, but like I don't see any of these teams out of the East beating the Suns. Like we are better defensively than any of the teams they've both faced. Like the Bucks live and die by Giannis. Chris Middleton is not a dependable 2. In my opinion, if I was Giannis, I'd feel super bad about the front office job in Milwaukee. They can't pair him with somebody better than Chris Middleton.
Stephen A. bashed them about that just recently,
It's
a couple hours ago.
He's not good. He's good, but he's not a 2 on a championship team. He's not a
Why
2.
couldn't they make a package for James Harden,
Exactly. Throwing a package for James Harden. You saw what the fucking Nets gave them.
Little dog shit.
Throwing something better than that.
Jared Allen, I love him.
76ers, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Or the Heat, by that matter. Tyler Hero, trade him.
He has.
Yeah, he's so bad. Like Jack Harlow carried that man's career so far. But I want the Hawks to win, but I don't know. Giannis is so good, but like I've said,
but we see that in the Sixers series. Everyone
his supporting cast is really bad. I want the
Oh, yeah.
Hawks to win. I want the Hawks to win. For my Migos, for my boys out in ATL, I want them to win. So, like, I guess we'll see for Liam's 21 Savage shirt. We're repping. Let's go.
We're repping.
Like,
Oh, I mean, sorry, that's Chicago. My bad. We're repping at Hotlanta today. So
exactly. I'm about to get some Nashville. Actually, that's in Tennessee. It's a Nashville hot
the
chicken.
Louisville.
I was just gonna say that.
Hey, well, we don't want to hold you guys any longer. This is
Yeah.
a banger of an episode. Make sure you guys drop a comment
Tons
down
of pork.
below. Let us know what you guys thought about this episode. Drop a like, subscribe. We always love the support. Hey, Griffin, my boy's been gone for a minute, so we had to bring you back for another episode.
Pleasure to be back. You know, it was a long way away from the March Madness episode, but
Time to drop some facts.
All right, we might be back, doing a Phoenix Suns, the championship miracle
If the
season.
Suns make the finals, I'm coming back.
Oh, we are. I'm ordering my Devin Booker jersey immediately.
Let's go.
So.
Let's go.
All right, without further ado, this is Coast to Coast Podcast with Griffin Winter. We are signing out. Peace.